Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it has been a while, and that is mostly due to a lack of ideas, honestly. But I found one. So, I was scrubbing through my old videos looking for inspiration, and I came across a video from about a year ago, probably a little bit less than a year ago. Either way, it was a video where I made a tier list of all the Hazbin Hotel and Helluva boss characters, and I rewatched the video, and that video came out before episode 6 came out. So it's pretty old, and I did add outdated to the title because I'm making another one today. I'm making a more up-to-date version of that tier list to include some new characters and just generally have better commentary because I had terrible commentary in that video. It was like one of the first videos I did that was just off the cuff. So the dialogue and the commentary is ass. This video is off the cuff as well, but I think I'm a little bit better at improvising lines now, or at least I hope I am. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so just like last time, first character that we're going to start with is going to be Charlie. I have an updated image of Charlie for this one. I still really like Charlie. I think that she is a very good central protagonist for the show. I can just see so much potential in the character, and I'm just so waiting for Hazbin Hotel to drop so that we can see where it's going to go. I'd be very interested to see what kind of arc she's going to get. So definitely an A tier character. I think that's where I put her last time. Still a really good character, I think just not in my favorites, which is what this tier up here is reserved for. Next up on our list, we have Charlie's girlfriend, Vaggie. And her picture's not coming up. There we go. Also an updated image here. Yeah, I like Vaggie. I think that she's a very good character. I think that the interactions she has with all of the other characters in the pilot are very well written, very fun to watch. And she also just seems to be a very good companion to Charlie overall. Definitely a solid character. Probably high B tier. She's not on the same level of enjoyment for me personally as any of the characters in these two tiers are. But she's not a bad character, so... So high B tier she goes. Next up, we have another main character of Hazbin. That is, of course, Angel Dust. Angel Dust is fun as hell to watch. He definitely seems to be the main... I don't want to say comic relief, because that implies that that's all he's used for. But he definitely seems to be where a lot of the humor from the show is coming from, how he interacts with the other characters. He's not just like a comic relief character or something, because he is kind of like the main test to see if their system will even work. So there's definitely going to be a lot of development surrounding that, I'm sure. Overall, from what we've seen so far, very fun to watch character. Loads of potential, just like Charlie has. So probably an A tier character for me as well. Next up, we have Big Al, probably the most important character of the show thus far, aside from, of course, the main protagonist. So something that I mentioned about all the other characters is how much potential they have. I would say that no character has greater potential for building off of than Alistair does. He's got the whole Overlord thing going on. That alone leaves a ton of room for growth and world building. But we also don't know what his true motives are. We have like a vague idea of what they are, but we also don't know. So that gives a ton of potential for how the story will progress. Based off what we know about the character already, with what we have in the pilot, Alistair is still one of my favorite characters. I think he's got a really cool aesthetic going on. I really like the whole radio vibe he has. I think it's just a very creative motif for a character to have. Props to Viv for creating that whole thing around him. Like all the other characters, he's also pretty fun to watch. And I think a huge portion of the pilot's watchability comes from all these characters bouncing off of each other. Like their very distinct personalities. Brushing up against each other just leads for some very good interactions. And I would say that there is no bigger personality in the show thus far than Alistair. Definitely just one of my favorites of the pilot. S tier for sure. Next up, we have Katie Killjoy, the evil anchor woman, who's honestly not in the pilot for very long. She doesn't have a whole lot going on with her. She's just kind of like... seems like an intermittent antagonist. Like, I have a feeling that she's going to be either a very minor reoccurring character moving forward in the show. Not really a whole lot there. She's just kind of a bitch to Charlie for like 5 minutes. But she does have some pretty funny lines. Honestly, I feel like where a lot of my ranking is coming from is just how much I enjoyed watching the characters and just how I feel about them as a whole. And seeing as how much I enjoyed watching them is a huge part of how I'm ranking these, I would say that Katie Killjoy is like high C tier. Not quite B tier, but still pretty good character. Just not better than anything in these other tiers, I don't think. So high C tier, just a good, fun villain. I don't think that she has the chops to be like a huge antagonist of this. I just think that she's going to be used more sparingly, but from what we saw in the pilot, that's just where I'm going to put her for now. Now, moving down the chain of relevancy, we have Husker. Husker is a pretty minor character. I think he only has like a solid 2 minutes of screen time, if that. They don't really do a whole lot with him, but then again, it is a pilot, so they didn't really have a whole lot of time. Personally, I think that they stuffed too many characters into the pilot and didn't give some of them like room to breathe. I feel like Husk is one of those characters that they could have just introduced in a later episode or something, maybe like episode 2 or 3. Either way, I still think he's funny. He's just like this alcoholic gambling cat who kind of reminds everyone of that one uncle they have. They did manage to cram a lot of personality and give you a really good idea of how he is in that 2 minutes they had to work with. So I will give them that. From what we saw, definitely like a B tier character. Next up, we have Nifty, who gets even less time on screen than Husk. They honestly just feel like they fit the same sort of role as just kind of supporting characters. Nifty is this little creature that seems to work for Alistair in some capacity, and she just doesn't get any time on screen, really. I think she's only on screen for like 35 seconds or something, and it is extremely rapid. Like, they just introduce her like that and then get it out of the way like really quick. I can't say I'm a fan. I think they really should have just held off on introducing her. They didn't need to. So what do we learn in those 35 seconds? We learn that she is sweet, but also kind of a little psychopath, I think is what they were going for. And she also likes cleaning and cleanliness. In some ways, like the personification of ADHD. All that aside, they did not give us basically any time to get to know this character. So I can't really say a whole lot in the ranking department. I'm just going to drop her in like C tier. I feel like C tier is average tier. Like, C tier is average, B is good, A is great, S is best, D is below average, F is just kind of bad. Next up, we have Tom Trench. Tom Trench is a very minor character. He's just kind of there. He talks a little bit to the camera. He talks a little bit to Katie Killjoy. He doesn't really do a whole lot. There really isn't much to say about Tom Trench, other than that he had a couple of really good lines. Actually, that one line where he was, like, on fire, and he was like, "Why won't anyone help me?" That was pretty funny. I think I would kind of put him into C tier. He just kind of strikes me as an average character. I don't think that we're going to be seeing much more of him, unfortunately. Or maybe when we see Katie Killjoy in the future, if we see her at all, she'll also be with Tom Trench, maybe like a package deal sort of thing. But I have no idea because I'm not Viv. So for now, he's just an average character. All right, next up we have Cherry Bomb, who is a Cyclops who likes to throw bombs. It's also Angel Dust's friend. And I just summarized her entire character in a sentence. Honestly, Cherry just kind of feels like another one of those characters that they truly didn't really need to add. I feel like Cherry Bomb is more relevant in the Addict music video than she is in the entire pilot, which almost makes me wonder if they included her in the pilot for the sole purpose of releasing Addict when they did. I honestly don't know. But what I do know is that Cherry Bomb is a average character, probably C tier, maybe high C tier. You know what? I'm actually going to bump Tommy Trench up to high C tier because at least he was funny. Cherry Bomb and Nifty were just kind of there. No, Tom Trench was funny. He's got that going for him. So high C tier it is. Next up, we have one of the last characters on here before we start moving on to Helluva Boss characters. We got Serpentius. Now, I actually have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name. I think I've said it differently in every video where I've mentioned him. I think it's Pentius. I've heard other people say Pentius. I don't know which one is correct. I'm pretty sure they don't actually say his name in the pilot. So I have no idea what is the right way to say his name. I'm just going to go with Pentius for now because that's how it looks when I read it. Another character that didn't really even need to be in the pilot. Like, that entire Turf War plot was not strictly necessary, I don't think. If they needed to have the pilot flow better, I feel like that was one of the scenes they could have cut. Either way, does not mean that Pentius was a bad character. His voice acting was fantastic. You can tell that the person who voiced him was just really, really trying, and it works. Again, though, he doesn't really do a whole lot. He doesn't even come to mind, really, when I think of the main Hazbin Hotel characters here, so I'm just going to stick him in C tier for now. Kind of another average character, really. Next up, we have Vox. Now, the thing about Vox is he had almost no screen time in the pilot. As a matter of fact, I don't think he has any. He might be shown for like a second, but we basically know nothing about this character. However, he does appear in the like day in the life of Alistair comic thing, and he also appears in a GIF that was like a sneak peek of upcoming episodes that was released on Twitter a few weeks ago. So we do actually see a little bit more of him than just the, I think, yeah, he was shown in 1 second in the pilot. He was like on a couch or something in the very beginning. So we actually do see more of him than that. We still can't tell a whole lot about him, though. Still not a single spoken line of dialogue from this character, so we don't know what he's doing for a voice. He does seem to oppose Alistair, though. That's kind of all we know about him, really, that he's an enemy of Alistair. And that is not a whole lot to go off of for ranking a character, honestly. Last time I did this video, I put him in C tier because I didn't really know where else to stick him because I have no idea whether or not he's a good or bad character. And I think the same thing applies here. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Velvet, the other overlord of the 3 Vs, falls in the same exact category. Know nothing about her, therefore she can only be average because we don't know if she's good or bad. The only overlord that I think that I would actually put in a different tier would probably be Valentino because he does have a bit of character development farther than just a second of screen time. No, he is shown to be an abuser of angel dust, which obviously nobody liked that, bro. Last time I put him in F tier. I'm just going to do the same thing that I did here as well. And I don't think that my opinion on Lucifer has changed much either. I stuck him in F tier last time because he's Lucifer. He is like quite literally the worst you could get as far as evilness goes. But that kind of begs the question, am I doing this tier list based on how much I actually like the characters? Am I doing it based on how evil they are? So, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of stick with what I did last time and just put these 2 really bad dudes in F tier. If we actually got to see them on screen and saw any more of their characters, and they were like juicy, good characters with all sorts of crazy development and plot relevance and all that good stuff that makes characters good, then I might reorder this a little bit. But for now, they're just big baddies, and they go in F tier because of that. Alright, and next up we have the very last of the even remotely relevant Hazbin Hotel characters, which would be the Egg Boys. The Egg Boys are... they're pretty annoying. I still think they're annoying. I rewatched the pilot, I think like a week ago, with the prospect of this video kind of faintly in the back of my mind. And yeah, they're still annoying. They did not get any better with time. As a matter of fact, I think they might have gotten just a tiny bit worse. D-. So that concludes the Hazbin Hotel portion of this video. These are all the Hazbin characters ranked. I have a picture of my old tier list pulled up here, and honestly, my thoughts have not changed at all, really. There have been some minor shifts, like for example, Vaggie went up a little bit, and Katie Killjoy went up a little bit too, and the Egg Boys went down a little bit. But that's kind of it, really. I mean, this is very similar to last time. I just hope this video is a little bit more bearable to watch, because last time my commentary was just garbage, so hopefully this is a bit of an improvement. So yeah, now we're going to move on to Helluva boss characters, and this is honestly one of my main driving forces behind re-uploading this video in the first place, because there have been new developments with Helluva boss. Actually, there's been a lot of them, because episode 5 was a really long time ago. That was all that was out when I made my first video, so I feel like there's definitely going to be a much more dramatic change in how I rank those characters as opposed to these ones. Yeah, let's just get started. Alright, first up we have Blitzo. Yeah, I think last time I ranked Blitz pretty high. Actually, if I pull up the photo... Yeah, I gave him A tier last time, which I don't think is a fair representation of how I feel now. Honestly, I kind of feel like Blitz's character has just gotten a tiny bit worse. I feel like I'm not laughing at the sex jokes nearly as much as I used to. I feel like I might be just a little bit sick of that being his only brand of humor. However, I feel like that's almost countered by all the new amazing character development that we've gotten with him and Stolas since episode 5. So I kind of feel like since it sort of cancels out, he sort of stays in the same position. The character development stuff kind of counters the staling humor. Moxie. I still really like Moxie. I still think he's one of my favorite characters in the entire show. The way he and Blitz interact will always be funny for me. I think it's just because he's the straight man of the group. He's the smart one. He's the weapons expert. He's like the kind of the brains of the operation, if you will. And Blitz is just kind of like... He's their leader, yeah, but he's also a little bit of a reckless idiot. I think the way that those two kind of clash in the show, it's always been something that's been like one of my favorite parts of the show, and still is. Not to mention the fact that I feel like I always kind of gravitate towards the brains of the operation, because I just kind of feel like if I were in any sort of situation like that, that would be the role that I would fill. I don't know if that sounds super arrogant to me, but I always have like the brains of the operation characters. So there he is in S tier. That has not changed one bit. Still possum for life. Next up, we have Millie. And my opinion on Millie... Oh, it's a huge picture. What the hell? My opinion on Millie has changed a little bit. I'm now realizing that the show does almost nothing with Millie. Like, she is a main character. She is part of the 4 members of the IMP. She's 25% of this group. But it feels like they don't do anything with her. She has, like, 2 personality traits. She's Moxie's super loving wife, and she's also really good at fighting. That's it. We only ever see her doing those 2 things. And that isn't necessarily bad, but I just feel like in every scene that they show Millie doing the exact same things the exact same way. There's almost never any deviation from the formula that they've already established in episode 1. I honestly think that the pilot was probably the best we've seen of her. And since then, it's just been Southern wife lady who can swing an axe. And that's kind of all we see her doing. They do nothing with her in the most recent episode, which at the time of recording is season 2, episode 1. And since episode 5, they really haven't done much with her, period. It's just kind of sad. So because of that, she was in B tier last time, I'm just going to drop her down to C. Honestly, I feel like this show has done so little with her that she deserves to be dropped down to average. Alright, next up we have Luna. Now, I actually do kind of want to talk about Luna in a more serious way than I did last time, because I think last time I turned the F tier into furry, little tongue-in-cheek joke. But I do kind of want to do some actual commentating on this character. Since episode 5, they have added one good scene with Luna in it. Give them a round of applause, people. One good scene with Luna. Incredible. And that scene was in the most recent episode, season 2, episode 1. And honestly, it humanizes her character for 3 minutes, and then nothing else happened. I do complain about it in my more extensive review of that episode if you want to go watch that. I never really have liked Luna as a character. I still really don't. But they did give her one good scene, so you know what? She gets to be an F+. That's right, high F tier. I don't think such a grade exists, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, we did the 4 mains, so now it's time for the secondaries. Stolas. I put Stolas in C tier last time because his character writing was inconsistent. He went from being, like, legitimately sorry that he was being a man whore in episode 2 because it was destroying his family. And then in episode 5, the first scene we see him is him doing blitz in he and his wife's bed. So, you know, not very consistent. But since episode 5, especially with episode 6, which is probably the most character development-packed episode that we currently have, he has gone through so much. He's actually become a likable, good character beyond what he was before, which is kind of crazy to think that in the pilot he was just like this horny douchebag who wanted nothing more than a bang blitz. Like, he's definitely grown a lot in his character since then. You know what? Fuck it. He actually moves up 2 whole tiers. He is now a B tier character, which is a huge improvement. Moving on to our second secondary, we've got Octavia. I still like Octavia. I still think she serves her character well. She's the teenage girl in the middle of all of this family stuff going on with Stolas. And yeah, not much more to say really other than that. Just a really solid character. I think she is like high B tier. Alright, now we can start moving on to the antagonists. The IMP have no shortage of enemies. So this is probably going to be the longest segment. And the segment that we're going to finish the video on, actually, because I don't think there's much beyond this. Veroska Mayday. I think in the last video I said that Veroska was like the definition of an average character. She was fine for the episode she was in. Don't really like her. Don't really hate her. And I feel the exact same way about her this time. Middle of the road for this 6-tier tier list would be the middle of B and C. So that is exactly where she goes. If C is average, then she is like slightly above average. Next up on the list, we have RoboFizz. We also have some new characters put on this list, by the way. Real Fizz. Let's see, there's also the Dorks Agents from episode 6. There's Stolas' dad, Blitz's dad, to name a few. But for now, we'll just stick with the characters that we have already seen. Last time I put RoboFizz in B tier. I think it's about the same. I really don't have a very strong opinion on RoboFizz. He's kind of there for one episode, and we don't really see him again. The rest of the show is more focused on Real Fizz. So I think he can just hang out in B tier. Actually, I don't know. Since I have virtually no opinion, maybe I'll just stick him in the average tier for now. Stella's an enemy of the IMP, technically, so here she is. So when I put Stella in D tier last time I made this list, we had not seen any of her, really. We saw her in episode 2, we saw her at the end of episode 5, and that was it. I don't think we really saw her again until, like, episode 7, which we did get a huge amount of development for her then. So does that change where I put her? I don't know. I mean, I think not really, because I don't think she's an average character. I just don't think she's that great of a character either. She's kind of a huge bitch. So D tier it is, I think, because she's not, like, F tier bad, but she's also not, like, average, because she's not that great either. Next up, we have the Cherubs, the primary antagonists of the worst episode of Helluva Boss currently out. I don't even think that's really a hot take. I think that episode 4 is kind of universally disliked as being just one of the worst episodes in the show. The Cherubs are still terrible. Their voices still make me want to off myself. In my pitch meeting video, I did say that they were the most annoying characters ever put to screen. I kind of think that still fits. F tier. Fuck the Cherubs. Get them out of here. Alright, next up we've got Stryker. Coolest character design in all of Helluva Boss. Really, really, really good antagonist to the IMP. He's proven to be a brilliant fighter. He also seems to be very smart, very crafty, and overall just a really badass country guy, and still probably one of the best characters that's popped up in the show so far. From the Season 2 trailer, we do see that he returns. I also have a video breaking that down, by the way, if you're interested. And I couldn't be happier for it. I am just really glad that we get to see this badass guy again. Alright, and next up we have normal Fizzarali. Not the robot one, the normal one. This is a character that we got to see a lot of in the newest episode. We got to see some of him in episode 7. I think that he's a lot better than his robot counterpart. I think that if we're talking about potential, holy shit, I want to see what went so wrong with Blitz and his relationship. I would be legitimately curious to know why they are arch enemies now when they were clearly great friends as kids. Yeah, just enormous potential there. I would say that he's probably like high B tier. I would say that he's probably a tier above his robot counterpart. Next up, we have another new character, Paimon. Paimon is hilarious as this rich prick who actually gives a lot of character development to Stolas. It kind of shows that his overbearing sort of elitism kind of made Stolas the person he is today. Awesome character design, very well executed character. I have no complaints. Probably just a B tier character. Very good. Also moving Stolas up to high B tier. I think that I was just taking a second to consider all the development that he's been through since last time I made one of these. Next up, we have Cash Buxo, who is Blitz's father. Yes, that is his name, for those of you who didn't know. He's kind of just an asshole, really. That's kind of his entire personality. Cheapskate to rival the likes of Mr. Krabs. Just kind of a bitter old man douchebag sort of guy. Not a whole lot to say about him other than that. I didn't find him particularly funny. I have no real strong opinion. He's kind of a jerk, though, so yeah, probably just D tier. Next up, we have the Dorks agents from episode 6. They did serve their function as kind of like more airheaded investigators pretty well. I did kind of enjoy watching them get clowned on in that episode, and of course the fight scene that ensued was pretty great. They actually do serve kind of a real threat now because they have those tapes. Entire Mortal World is probably going to be on the lookout after that leaks. I feel like that's going to be something better explored in Season 2, but honestly I have no way of knowing that. Overall, just two really good characters who were perfect in their roles in that episode, and I really do actually hope we see more of them. They were pretty funny as well. I would say high B tier, honestly. Maybe just B tier. I feel like I've been kind of given a lot of those higher tier bumps out. And the last character that we're going to be covering today, I don't know if it's the last character out of all the characters I could have covered, but I've been doing this for about an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm pretty tired. Last character we got here is Asmodeus. Asmodeus is great. Has one of the best songs in the entire show thus far. That's kind of really all he has. He has a song and then maybe like 4 or 5 lines of dialogue outside of the song. But the song really is a central focus of this character as of right now. We are going to be seeing him returning based on the trailer. I gotta say, I'm still looking forward to it. I don't really have that strong feelings about this character. I more have strong feelings about the song. I like the song a lot. The character, I don't know. I think that he did a really good job in the song though. So I'm gonna go with high C tier. And we're out of room pretty much. So there, just know that's him, okay? That concludes it. This is the entire tier list that I've got. All of the Hazbin and Helluva Boss characters that I can think of. All this commentary was completely off script, so I hope it didn't suck nearly as much as my off script commentary did in the last video. And I just hope that this video was overall an improvement. And if you didn't see the first video, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy this kind of content, I do a lot of other Helluva Boss related stuff on this channel as well as some other stuff that you might also enjoy. So you should definitely subscribe. And also like, comment, and share this video around. Bye.